I will remember George as a person who was a very, very close friend, a very near and a dear friend. He really was the definition or the personification of what friendship should be. A person about whom you can talk about anything, a person who will always be prepared to offer his input, a person who is always prepared to listen and to discuss how we can grapple with issues, a person who was really committed to his family. I mean, he talked about his family. He was so proud of his family. I remember him as one who was very, very proud of all of his children. One who was devoted to the people who made up his core group, whether it was the few of us who had dinner with him or lunch with him or met him from time to time, his family, those political colleagues with whom he had a close relationship, including the Prime Minister, his brother, Philip. I remember there were times in this very room, George, Philip, and I sat and wrote a lot, made our contribution to the platform for the last PLP. Spent the full day here. I ordered lunch from across the street, spent the full day here going through it, arguing, no, should we put this in or should we not? Should this be included or should it not? Those are the happy memories I'll have of George. He was loyal to a fault. There were times that we would disagree over political positions we took, and sometimes strongly disagree, but he was always respectful. Never ever acrimonious, never angry, always a person that would listen. I think he had the gift of listening. He had the gift of an open mind. He was a person that I could consult with, a person I could confide in, a person who I think confided in me, and who expressed his concerns on a whole range of issues. And as a friend, we just developed that friendship out of a political bond initially. The luncheon group that we were a part of, he, Reynard, Rigby, Candia, myself, we'd meet regularly. He would, we looked forward to those lunches, and those lunches would sometimes last 3 or 4 hours. I remember on several occasions, staff would say to me, "Oh, you're having lunch with Mr. Smith, you'll be gone for the rest of the day." And invariably that happened, and it happened because there was the conversation was so lively, so vibrant, so full. And what he often spoke about are the very same things that I spoke about earlier. His concern for the development of the country. Gender equality was a very keen concern of his. What are we doing for the poor? We seem to be doing a lot for investors, but why aren't we doing the same thing for poor people in this country? How does the government, and any government, and he was critical of both governments, and he was supportive of both governments when they did good things, and critical when he needed to be critical. He was also very, very interested in the upcoming 50th anniversary celebrations of the Bahamas. As you know, he was one of the signatories to the Constitution back in 1972, the Constitutional Conference, 1972, December of 1972. One of the persons who signed off on our first Constitution. And not only was he engaged in that discussion and in that process, he was also the chairman of the Independence Commission that led the celebrations, and he was very proud of that. He was proud that they had done a reasonably good job to launch the Bahamas as the newest nation in the world back in 1973. I believe that Mr. Smith believed that he really had unfinished business. One, I think when he left Parliament in 1997, after 29 years, I think he felt that there was still a number of things that were unfinished. There was an agenda that needed to be fulfilled. He had a keen interest in Bahamians, a very, very keen interest in exhumians, but people very, very concerned about the welfare of the country. And invariably, I'd get a note from George, an email, what do you think about this? Or, Phil, here's something I think I'm going to talk about, what do you think? Or, I'm going to write the Prime Minister, maybe at the time the leader of the opposition, Mr. Davis, I'm going to write him a note about what the Foreign Service should look like in a Davis administration. Or how do we address issues related to the poor? And so he had a keen interest in the people of this country. He loved people. That was one of the things about George that I really admired.